Hey there, this is Chad Garber, and in this video I'm going to do a demo of the Boss Katana 100. This time I'm going to do a demo of the line out, the little jacks in the back. There's actually two. There's a headphone jack and there's a line out jack. That's what this demo is going to be, okay? And so here's how it sounds. Okay, now that's one of the settings I have, one of the presets. I got the lines, and then I got the phaser going on. And so let me give you a little backstory real quick. I got this amp and I've loved it, and I've been doing these demos and reviews on these videos, and I've been using the camera's microphone to do these recordings. And you could hear it decently, but you couldn't really hear, you really couldn't hear it how it sounds. Okay, so then recently I tried to plug in the cable in the back and straight into my mixer and then into the camera. And when it was a clean sound, it sounded okay. Like I did a video yesterday, you can check it out. But I did a video yesterday and it sounds decent. It sounds pretty good. But then when I tried the distortion, actually the funny thing is I did the distortion on that same video yesterday, but I just edited it all out because it sounded so bad. And so I couldn't figure it out. It was driving me crazy. It's like I had this great amp and this great sound, and then I had the output going into the mixer. You would think it'd sound just as good, and it was awful. It was awful. And here's what I heard. I was like, man, it sounds terrible. It's like, what is going on here? And here's the other one I'm saying. I even tried, so when I first heard that, I was like discouraged. I tried both different jacks, the phones and the headphones, and they both sounded terrible. And I was like, what is up with that? I thought maybe it was a defect in the amp. So I have a microphone. I got this microphone. It's a condenser mic, a AKG P120. It's a really, really good mic. And I had it, in front of the amp, and it sounded pretty good. I was able to get the same basic sound as the amp sounded. But then I read somewhere that there's, on the software of the Boss Katana, there is a setting. Okay? Now let me show you where this is. So you open up your Boss Tone Studio for Katana, and then you might have to maximize it. Like when you open it up, it might just be, depending on what computer you have, it might be just, partially open. So you want to maximize it, open it up all the way, because there's this button at the bottom right corner that says System. So you go to that System button, and the first thing it brings you to is what's called Line Out Cabinet. And it's called Line Out Cabinet. It says adjust the line out and feel in cabinet resonance setting. And then there's two little settings. One's line out air feel, and then the cabinet resonance. By default, I don't know why they set some of these settings interestingly, but by default it was set to live. Okay? And that's what sounded bad to me. That's what sounded like this. It sounded kind of like what the EVH pedal sounded like without a good amp, with my line 6 or whatever. But it's kind of like that. And there's a couple different settings you can set. There's a cabinet resonance. You can do the modern or classical or whatever. Okay, but there's also a record setting on the look or the line out air feel. And the record setting is what makes it sound like this. I'll show you what it sounds like. That's with the phaser. Here's without the phaser. I was like, oh, thank God. It's another great thing. So I was going to have to give a review of this amp with a negative feedback and say, man, if you're going to buy this amp, you got to realize that you have to use the microphone to both record, but then also to play, live. I used this amp live in front of, 300 people at a church, and by default, I had, again, it was set to live, and so when I was in distortion, the guys could never make it sound good. Well, duh. Now I know why. It's because it's the weird cabinet resonance that they're trying to make. They tried to add. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was a good idea, but I think it just kind of flopped. Maybe there's times where it sounds good, but I can't find it. So I'm going to have this on record, and I bet you when I try this at church Sunday, it's going to sound so much better. They're going to be like, oh yeah, there you go. No, I'm not going to get this much distortion unless I get lucky. But to me, that sounds really good. Sounds like the amp does, pretty much. And then you have the clean. Even that sounds way better than yesterday. I don't know why I always play Spanish chord progressions. And then here's the other cool little setting I was using. This is the slow gear effect. Sounds like it sounds in the amp now. Thank God. Slow gear effect does, by the way, is it takes away the attack. So you strum it and it kind of comes in heavier after you strum it rather than right when you strum it. And I've got some delay on there too. So the good news now is that all I have now is a stellar, review of the Boss Katana 100. It continues to show me that it's the best amp there is. By default, there's a couple weird little settings. By default, it had the noise suppressor off, and so you go into the software, and right when there's a button that says noise suppressor or NS, and so that was by default that was off. Okay, you turn that back on, and then you got a ball game again. And this was another one that was, by default it was set to weird output. Cabinet resonance, but then turn it to record and it sounds good. So that means that this amp is still a stellar amp with nothing but positive reviews. My only complaint is the default settings, some of them. It's really great because I'm recording a song right now, and it sounds so much better now that I'm using this new setting. So hopefully this was helpful to you. And again, all you have to do is open up the Boss software, maximize it, click the little system button at the bottom right, and then right away you'll see that little drop down, and then put that to record. And then it'll stay there unless you change it again or you set the defaults. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.